The sky above Velisfor was dark purple. The trees were tall and strange, their leaves glowing in the soft light. Commander Aaron Wells opened his eyes slowly, his head hurt. His ship had crashed. He lay on the wet ground, smoke rising from the broken pieces of metal around him. The air smelled like burnt wires and ash. He pushed himself up with a groan. His left arm was bleeding, and his right leg felt weak. His ship was gone, destroyed. Aaron looked around. This planet was not on any of his maps. It was quiet, too quiet. There were no birds, no wind, just silence and the sound of his breathing. He grabbed his survival pack and started walking, limping through the thick forest. His training told him to stay calm, find water, find shelter, then find help. Hours passed. He found a stream and drank from it. He washed his wounds. Still, no signs of life. On the third day, something changed. He was building a fire near a cave, when he heard a sound, soft footsteps. He grabbed a stick and turned quickly. Behind a large bush, a small figure appeared. A girl, but not a human girl. Her skin was pale blue, and her eyes were large and silver. She had short dark hair, tangled and dirty. She wore a simple cloth dress, torn at the edges. She looked scared but curious. Aaron lowered the stick. "Hello," he said softly. The girl stepped closer. She looked about 6 years old. Her hands were shaking. She looked into his eyes and spoke in a quiet voice. "Will you be my father?" Aaron was shocked. He did not understand at first. "Your father?" he repeated. She nodded. Her eyes were full of hope. "Everyone is gone. They told us someone strong would come. Someone who could protect us. Are you him?" Aaron didn't know what to say. He had been trained to fight, to survive, but not to take care of a child, especially not an alien child. Still, he saw something in her eyes. Something pure. She was alone. Just like him, he slowly knelt down and smiled. "I don't know if I'm the one you're waiting for, but I can stay with you. My name is Aaron." The girl's lips curled into a small smile. "I'm Lyra." She walked closer and gently took his hand. That night, they shared the fire. Aaron gave her food from his pack. She ate quickly, like she hadn't eaten in days. Lyra told him stories about her village, about how the sky once had lights that took the grown-ups away, about the monsters that come at night, about how the children waited for someone brave to come back. Aaron listened carefully. He didn't understand everything, but one thing was clear: the children had been left behind. "Where is your village?" he asked. She pointed into the trees. "Not far. I can take you. Will you come?" Aaron looked at his wounds. He was still weak, but he nodded. "Yes, I'll come." They walked the next morning, slowly, through the thick forest. Lyra led the way, skipping over roots and ducking under branches. She moved like she knew every tree. After 2 hours, they reached a hidden valley. There, under the trees, was a village made of small wooden houses. But everything looked old. The buildings were broken, the roofs falling in. And everywhere Aaron saw children. Some were playing with sticks, some were sitting quietly, some looked scared. Most of them were not human. Many looked like Lyra. Others had fur, tails, or strange eyes. But they were all children, no adults. When the children saw Aaron, they ran and hid. Only a few stayed close, watching him. Lyra turned to them and shouted, "It's okay, he's safe. He's going to help." U.S. Slowly, some came out. A small group formed around Aaron. They looked thin, tired, and lost. Aaron felt something inside his heart. This wasn't just a strange planet anymore. These children had been left behind, forgotten. One boy stepped forward. He had red fur and a single horn. "Are you from the stars?" he asked. "Yes," Aaron said. "I'm human. My ship crashed." "Here, can you protect us?" the boy asked. Aaron looked at them, so small, so helpless, yet still standing. He took a deep breath. "I will try." Lyra reached for his hand again. "You stayed," she said. Aaron nodded. "Yes, I stayed." As the sun set behind the mountains, the village lit small fires. The children gathered around Aaron, listening as he told them stories about Earth, about a blue sky and green trees, about courage, about never giving up, and as Lyra leaned against him, her eyes closing slowly, Aaron knew he had made a choice. He was no longer just a soldier. He was their protector now. He would not leave them alone, not again. The sun rose slowly over the valley, casting a golden light on the broken houses of the village. Birds with shiny feathers flew over the trees, singing soft songs. But the village itself was silent. Commander Aaron Wells sat on a wooden step outside a small hut. Lyra sat beside him, her head resting on his arm. She had slept peacefully for the first time in many nights. Aaron looked around. The village had once been a happy place. There were signed small toys, drawings on the walls, swings made of vines. But now everything was broken. The houses were old. The gardens were empty. There were no adults to take care of anything. Children peeked from behind doors and windows. Some were curious. Others were scared. A few were brave enough to come closer. Aaron stood up. His legs still hurt, but he was stronger than before. "Let me help," he said softly. The children looked at each other. Then one girl with green skin and bright eyes stepped forward. "Can you fix the water pipe?" she asked. Aaron nodded. "Show me." She led him to a tall barrel where water once flowed, but the pipe was cracked. Aaron pulled out his small toolkit and got to work. The children watched him closely. It took a few hours, but finally, clean water flowed again. The children clapped and cheered. A boy ran to tell the others. Lyra smiled. "I knew you could help." Aaron wiped sweat from his forehead. "We need to fix more than just the water." Over the next few days, Aaron worked hard. He repaired broken fences to keep wild animals out. He helped build a safe cooking area. He showed the older kids how to make small traps for hunting. He even cleaned up the main hall so everyone could gather in one place. In return, the children brought him fruits and roots from the forest. They helped him carry wood and tools. Slowly, they began to trust him. At night, they sat around the fire, listening to his stories. He told them about Earth, about tall buildings, flying ships, oceans, and snow. Their eyes sparkled with wonder. One night, Lyra sat close and asked, "Why did your ship fall from the sky?" Aaron looked at the flames. "I was on a mission. Someone attacked our fleet. I was lucky to survive." "Will more humans come?" she asked. "I don't know," he said honestly. "Maybe, if they hear my signal." She looked down. "I hope they do." Aaron gently patted her shoulder. "Me too." As more days passed, Aaron learned more about the village. Long ago, it had been a peaceful place. Different alien families lived together. But then came the slavers, an evil group known as the Zazaran. They captured adults from many planets and took them away. They saw no use for children, so they left them behind. Lyra's parents had tried to fight, but were taken. Some older children had run into the forest and never returned. Now only the youngest remained. Aaron's heart ached when he heard this. These children had lost everything, yet they were still standing. One evening, a group of children returned from the forest with a torn sack. Inside were wild fruits and strange mushrooms. Aaron checked them carefully. "Some of these are safe," he said. "Others not so much." He used his portable scanner to test the food. The children watched and asked questions. He taught them which plants to avoid and which were good to eat. That night, they had a proper meal: boiled roots, sweet fruits, and clean water. For the first time in many days, the village felt warm and alive. Later, as the stars appeared above, Aaron sat outside with Lyra again. "You're not like the others?" she said. "Others?" Aaron asked. "Some grown-ups came before, from the sky. They looked at us, then flew away. They didn't stay." Aaron looked at her. "Why do you think I stayed?" Lyra thought for a moment. "Because you saw us." He smiled. "Yes, I saw you, and I won't leave." Lyra leaned her head on his shoulder. "You're like a real father now." Aaron felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had fought in wars, flown across galaxies, and faced danger, but this small child's words touched him more deeply than any medal or speech. "I'll do my best," he whispered that night as he walked through the quiet village. Aaron made a promise to himself. He would not just protect these children. He would lead them, teach them, and build something new with them. This place, once broken, could be whole again, and in the center of it all was Lyra, the small girl who looked up at him with innocent eyes and gave him a reason to stay. The wind over the forest grew colder. The trees whispered louder than before, like they were trying to speak a warning. Commander Aaron Wells felt it in his bones something was coming. It had been 2 weeks since he started helping the village. The children were stronger now. The broken houses were slowly being repaired. Food was stored, the water system worked. There was even laughter in the air again. But not for long. That evening, a boy named Kairu ran into the village. He had red fur, sharp eyes, and was one of the fastest kids. He was breathing hard. "I saw them," Kairu said, shaking. "Ships in the sky, dark ones, they're back." Aaron stood quickly. "Are you sure?" Kairu nodded. "They didn't land, but they circled over the far valley, the same shape, same noise. Like the ones that took our parents." Aaron's face grew serious. The Saran were returning. That night, Aaron called all the children into the main hall. It was quiet. Some kids held hands. Others looked down, afraid. Aaron stood in front of them. "We don't know if they will come here." "But we must be ready," one girl asked. "Will they take us too?" "No," Aaron said firmly. "Not while I'm here." Lyra sat close to him. Her eyes were wide. "We'll fight?" "We'll protect each other," Aaron said. "We won't run. We'll stand strong, like a family." The next morning, Aaron began preparing the village. He divided the children into small groups. Each group had a job collecting wood, digging holes, sharpening sticks, or watching from the hills. He taught them how to set traps, simple things using rope, rocks, and logs. He showed them how to use sound to confuse enemies. They practiced running in silence and hiding quickly. The older kids learned how to use slingshots and spears. The younger ones learned how to carry messages and take care of each other. Every child had a role. At first, some were scared, but as the days passed, they became braver. They looked at Aaron not just as a protector, but as a leader, a father to all of them. One evening, Aaron sat with Lyra near the fire. She was quiet. "What's wrong?" he asked gently. "I remember them," she said. "The Saran, their faces, their voices, they were cold. They didn't care that we cried." Aaron placed a hand on her shoulder. "They won't hurt you again. I promise." Lyra looked up. "I'm not scared anymore." "Not with you here," Aaron smiled. She had grown stronger. She wasn't just a small girl anymore. She was hope for all of them. A few days later, another warning came. The watchers on the hill saw smoke in the sky. The Saran ships were closer now. There were at least 3. "They'll come soon," Aaron said. He called the children together again. "Tomorrow or the next day," he said. "They may come. They think we are weak, but we will show them we are not." The children raised their fists and cheered. Their voices filled the air like thunder. That night, Aaron worked alone near the forest edge. He set the last trap and looked up at the stars. He thought about Earth, its blue sky, its oceans, and the people he once knew. He didn't know if help would ever come, but even if it didn't, he would fight for these children. They had become his reason to keep going. Suddenly, he heard footsteps behind him. It was Lyra. She held a small stone in her hand. "This is for you," she said. "It's from the mountain. We believe it brings strength." Aaron took the stone. It was smooth and warm. "Thank you," he whispered. "You gave us hope," she said. "Now we give you ours." He hugged her gently. "Go to sleep now. Tomorrow we'll be ready." The next morning, the ground shook. The Saran ships landed in the forest. Their dark figures moved through the trees, tall, armored, and armed, but they didn't know what waited for them. As the slavers stepped into the valley, traps began to spring. Nets pulled them into trees. Logs rolled down hills. Hidden children made noise from different sides, confusing the enemy. When the Saran reached the village, they found no one. It was empty, but from behind walls, under the ground, and in the trees came the children. Quick, smart, ready. Aaron stood in the middle, a spear in his hand. "You took enough," he shouted. "You won't take them." The Saran leader laughed. "You're just one man." "Maybe," Aaron said. "But I'm not alone." The children rose together. like an army, and the fight for the village began. Smoke rose above the forest where the Sauron ship had landed. The first fight had ended. The children had won the surprise attack, but Aaron knew this was just the beginning. The slavers would return, and next time they would be ready for a real battle. Aaron stood on a hill looking at the damage. A few trees were burning, some traps had broken. One boy had been injured by a laser blast, but the children had saved him in time. No one had been taken, they had survived. But survival was not enough anymore. Now, they had to prepare for war. Early the next morning, Aaron blew a whistle made from carved wood. The sound echoed through the valley. Children came running from every corner of the village. Some carried tools, some had wooden spears. All had serious faces. Aaron stood in front of them. "Today," he said, "we stop hiding. Today we begin real training." The children didn't cheer. They simply nodded. They were ready to learn. Aaron divided them into groups. The strongest children learned how to fight with long sticks, stones, and slingshots. The fastest ones practiced running through the forest, passing secret messages without being seen. The younger children learned to care for wounds, hide safely, and prepare food and water. Everyone had a role. One smart girl, Mia, created a signal system using colored claws, red for danger, blue for safe, yellow for help. They tied the claws to trees so the whole village could communicate without speaking. Another boy, Teko, built wooden traps with springs and vines. He showed others how to build fake trails to trick the enemy. Aaron watched with pride. "You're not just children anymore," he told them. "You are defenders." In the evenings, they gathered around the fire. Aaron told them about Earth's history. He spoke of times when humans were outnumbered, but never gave up when people used their minds and hearts to win. Not just weapons, he told them stories of bravery, unity, and hope. The children listened with wide eyes. These stories gave them strength. Lyra sat close to him every night. She often asked questions. Were the people of Earth afraid? Yes, Aaron always replied. But they were brave because they chose to protect others. Lyra would smile and whisper, "Like us." As the days passed, Lyra began to show a special ability. She could feel danger before it came. Once, she stopped a group of children from walking into a trap by sensing movement. Deep in the trees, Aaron tested her skills. He asked her to close her eyes and describe what she felt. She could sense fear, danger, even calmness from others nearby. She called it her light. Aaron believed it was more than just a feeling. "You have a gift," he told her. "It will help us." Lyra nodded, proud but quiet. One day the scouts returned with news. The Sauron were building a base in the eastern forest. It was large, with walls, weapons, and more ships. They were planning something big. Aaron gathered the children. "We cannot attack them directly," he explained. "But we can stop them from reaching us." Together they made a plan. At night, small teams would sneak into the forest to damage the slavers' supplies, cutting fuel lines, stealing food, and confusing their machines. It was risky, but the children were careful. They moved like shadows, fast and silent. The Sauron grew angry. They didn't know who was behind it. Aaron called it Operation Echo, and every time the slavers lost something, the children left behind a small rock with a line carved across it like a whisper from the forest. But not everything was easy. One night a group didn't return. Everyone waited by the fire, worried. Finally, the group came back, but one boy, Luno, was hurt badly. A trap had gone off near the enemy camp. Aaron carried him to the healing tent. The children watched, quiet and sad. "He'll be okay," Aaron said, wrapping Luno's arm. "We will not leave anyone behind." Lyra sat beside Luno until he slept. "He was brave," she said softly. Aaron nodded. "All of you are." As the days passed, the children became stronger, faster, smarter. They weren't just defending anymore. They were protecting each other. They were building something powerful, a family. Aaron often walked through the village at night, checking the fences and guard posts. Children waved at him from the shadows, their eyes glowing with pride. He remembered the first day he came here, lost and broken. Now he had a purpose. Not just to survive, but to lead, to protect, and to give hope. One evening Lyra brought him the same small mountain stone he had given her earlier. "You need it now," she said. "It's your turn to be strong." Aaron smiled and held the stone in his hand. "Thank you, little one." She leaned against him. "When they come, again we'll be 80, and deep inside, Aaron believed her. The sky was dark with thick gray clouds. A storm was coming, but it wasn't just rain or wind. Something worse was on the way. The Saran were preparing to attack. Aaron stood at the highest point of the village, watching the forest with sharp eyes. His heart was heavy, but his mind was clear. He had trained these children, not just to fight, but to believe in themselves. Behind him, the village was ready. Every child knew their job. Every trap was set, every hiding place was prepared. This time they would not run. This time they would defend their home. Lyra stood beside Aaron, holding a small wooden whistle. It was the signal tool. If she blew it once, the front guards would move. Twice meant traps should be triggered. 3 times meant retreat, but Aaron hoped they would not need to retreat. "Not today. How many are coming?" Lyra asked softly. "Too many," Aaron replied. "But not enough to take what we've built." Lyra held her hand out. "I feel something. They're near, and they're angry." Aaron gave a slow nod. "Then we must be calm." As night fell, the forest grew quiet. No birds sang. No wind blew. Then, in the distance, came the sound of engines. The sharp roar of metal wings cutting through the sky. The children stood still, waiting in their hiding spots. Some in trees, some under leaves, some behind walls made from wood and rock. Then, from the trees they came tall, dark-armored Zaran soldiers. Their glowing eyes scanned the land. They moved like shadows, fast and cold. The first slaver stepped into the village and fell into a pit covered with leaves. Thud. The others stopped, confused. A second one triggered a swinging log trap and was knocked back hard. From the trees, red flags waved. It was the signal. Attack plan 1 distraction. Aaron gave a silent hand signal. A group of older kids threw rocks and loud whistles far into the forest. Pulling the enemy's attention away, the Saran turned. Chasing the sounds? That's when another group smaller children ran behind them and stole their power packs. Some Saran tried to shoot, but their weapons were jammed with sand and vines. It was working. Aaron moved between hiding spots, guiding the children. He was proud, but he also knew it was not over yet. Then a larger Zaran warrior broke through the outer traps. He reached the main village square, growling and ready. Aaron stepped forward. The slaver raised his weapon, but Aaron dodged and struck his leg with a strong wooden staff. The alien fell, roaring in pain. Aaron quickly tied him using vines the children had prepared. More enemies entered. They started setting fire to the edges of the village. The fire was dangerous, but it also helped. Smoke filled the air, making it hard for the Saran to see clearly. The children, trained in this, moved through the smoke easily. Kiru, the red-furred boy, led a small team to the east fence. "Trap 7!" he shouted. A group of logs rolled down a hidden hill, knocking. 3 Saran to the ground. But then trouble came. A second ship landed beyond the trees, and more soldiers rushed out. This time they brought heavy tools, metal claws, and stronger weapons. Aaron's heart raced. He looked at Lyra, who had been hiding nearby. "You must go now," he said. "No," she said quickly. "I can help." "I know," he replied. "But you're more than just a fighter. You're our eyes. You must warn the others if anything changes." She hesitated, then nodded. "I'll watch the stars." As the battle grew harder, the children began to tire. They were smart and quick, but the enemy was large and angry. Just when it seemed they might lose the center of the village, a loud sound echoed through the forest. A new voice on a speaker called out, "This is Commander Wells, Earth Fleet. Respond if you hear this signal." The children looked up. Aaron had secretly set a signal booster days ago. It had been sending out a distress call every hour. Now, finally, a reply came. A loud hum filled the air as shapes appeared in the sky, sleek, silver human ships. Earth soldiers had come. Blue lights lit the ground. Beams of light shot from The sky forcing the saran back, the children shouted with joy. Some cried. Others hugged each other. The slavers tried to escape, but Earth's ships circled them. They were caught, trapped. Aaron stood in the middle of it all, tired but proud. Lyra ran to him and wrapped her arms around his waist. You did it, she said. No, he said softly. We did it, all of us. That night, the village was quiet again. The fire was out. The stars shone bright above. The children sat around the fire pit. Earth soldiers were talking with them, giving food, water, and comfort. Medics treated wounds. Engineers fixed the broken huts. Aaron sat beside Lyra, who leaned her head on his shoulder. Will they take us away? She asked. Maybe, he replied, but only to a safer place. She smiled. As long as you come with us. Aaron looked around at all the children, the family he never expected to have. I'm not going anywhere, he said, and he meant it. The sun rose gently over the valley. The air was calm. The sounds of battle were gone now. Smoke no longer filled the sky. For the first time in many weeks, there was peace. Commander Aaron Wells walked through the quiet village. Earth soldiers were helping the children, giving food, checking their health, and writing reports. Some children laughed again. Others still sat in silence, unsure if this peace was real. Aaron stopped near the edge of the forest where the broken parts of his crashed ship lay. It was the same place where everything had begun. He remembered that first day, the pain, the fear, the little girl who held his hand and called him father. That girl, Lyra, now stood beside him. You called them, she said. You really did? Aaron smiled. Yes, but I wasn't sure they would hear me. He looked at the small device in his hand, the signal booster. He had worked on it every night while the children slept. A tiny light blinked now. It meant someone had received his message. Lyra looked up. What did the message say? Aaron paused. It said, Children of war need help. Don't forget them. Later that day, Captain Raina Morrow, leader of the Earth Rescue Team, called a meeting. The village children sat in a large circle. Soldiers stood around them, but not in a threatening way. They were here to listen. Captain Raina looked at Aaron. We found 3 other villages like this, all with children. No adults, the Saran have been doing this for years. We never knew. Aaron nodded. That's what they do. They take adults and leave the children behind. Easy to forget the smallest ones. Raina looked at the children. Not anymore. The Earth Council has heard your message. They've agreed to help. The children looked at one another. Some smiled. Others still looked unsure. Help was a big word, and not all of them had seen it before. One brave child, Kairu, raised his hand. Will they bring us back our parents? Raina's face softened. We don't know, but we promise to try. That evening, Aaron recorded a video message for Earth. It would be sent across the stars to every human colony. Every space station, every school and city. He sat beside Lyra, and the camera pointed at both of them. My name is Commander Aaron Wells, he began. I was a pilot. My ship crashed on Velis 4. I thought I was alone, but I wasn't. He looked at Lyra and smiled gently. I found children, brave children. Children who were left behind in a war they didn't choose. They survived with nothing but hope in each other, and they fought. They fought harder than any soldier I've ever known. He paused, holding up the small stone Lyra had given him weeks ago. This was given to me as a gift. It means strength. And now I pass that strength to all of you. Don't forget them. Don't turn away from the smallest voices. They matter more than you know. He ended the message with 4 simple words. They are worth saving. The message was sent across space. It traveled fast, reaching planets, ships, and human hearts. People listened. People cried. And people answered. Back on Velis 4, the Earth Rescue Team set up a medical camp. They scanned every child, treated injuries, and brought warm clothes. A transport ship arrived, filled with supplies and soft beds. The children were surprised. Some had never seen a real bed. Others had never tasted earth fruit before. They giggled and shared stories with the kind nurses and tech helpers. Aaron sat with Captain Rhea one evening as they watched the children play. They're healing, Raina said softly. They're stronger than anyone thinks, Aaron replied. They just needed someone to see them. Lyra came to him later that night. She held a drawing made with sticks and colored dust from local plants. It showed a tall figure with a beard, Aaron, holding hands with many small children. A big starship floated above them. This is us, she said shyly. Aaron looked at the picture for a long time. It's beautiful. Will we go to space now? She asked. Yes, he said. Soon, to a better place. A safer one. Will you still be my father there? Aaron hugged her gently. Always. Before leaving, Aaron visited the top of the hill where he had first stood watch. The village below was now brighter. It had lights, safety, and the sounds of life. He thought of those early days, the fear, the hard choices, the silent nights. Now, the silence was gone. Hope had returned. He took out a small flag and placed it in the ground. It wasn't the flag of Earth. It was something new, a hand-drawn symbol made by the children. A star, a tree, and a heart. This was their home. Their story, their beginning. The big Earth ship floated above Velis 4 like a silver bird. Its lights shone bright in the night sky, and its engines hummed softly. For the children of the village, it was like a dream. They had never seen such a large and peaceful ship before. Commander Aaron Wells stood near the ship's entrance ramp. The wind was gentle. The air smelled like fresh leaves after the rain. One by one, the children walked up the ramp, holding small bags with their few belongings. Some carried little toys. Others carried drawings or pieces of cloth from the village. They were leaving behind the place where they had suffered and survived. But they were also carrying something special with them. Hope. Lyra stood beside Aaron, holding his hand tightly. Her eyes looked up at the stars. Are we really going? She asked. Yes, Aaron said, smiling. To a new home. A place with clean rooms, real schools, soft beds, and other children just like you. She looked a little worried. What if I get lost? Aaron gently bent down and looked into her eyes. You won't, because I'll be right beside you. Lyra smiled, then hugged him tightly. She didn't speak, but her heart felt full. Inside the Earth ship, everything was clean, bright, and warm. The halls were wide, the rooms smelled of flowers, and screens on the walls showed pictures of earth-green forests, blue oceans, and tall cities with lights that touched the sky. The children were taken to special cabins. Each one had soft beds, food, clothes, and toys. Nurses and kind staff welcomed them with smiles and open arms. Some children were shy, some cried quietly. But slowly they began to feel safe. Aaron and Lyra shared a family cabin. It had 2 beds, a table, and a window that showed the stars. For the first time in many months, Aaron slept on a real bed, but he didn't sleep long. He had more work to do. The next day, Aaron was called to a meeting room on the ship. There, Captain Reyna and 2 other Earth Council officers waited. We've spoken with the Council, Reyna said. They were moved by your message. Aaron listened carefully. They want to create a special project, she continued. Program to find and protect war-orphaned children across the galaxy, but it needs a leader, someone who understands, someone they trust. She looked directly at Aaron. We want that person to be you. Aaron was silent for a moment. He thought of the village. He thought of the slavers, the traps, the quiet nights, and Lyra's small voice saying, Will you be my father? He nodded. I accept. Weeks passed as the ship traveled toward Earth's main space station, Hope Station, a place where many rescued children lived and studied. It floated above Earth like a second moon. When they arrived, the children looked out the windows in wonder. Earth was below them, blue and green and full of light. The station was even bigger than the ship. It had schools, parks, hospitals, and homes. Hundreds of children from many planets lived there. Lyra and the others were welcomed by teachers, counselors, and other kids who had gone through similar pain. It was not easy at first, but day by day they laughed more. They played games. They learned new things. One afternoon, Lyra stood in a quiet garden, holding a small plant. Aaron walked over. What's this? He asked. A memory flower. Lyra said, They grow only once? You plant it for someone you want to remember. Who are you planting it for? She looked up. For my parents? Aaron nodded slowly. That's a beautiful gift. Lyra handed him another small flower. This one is for the village, for everyone who stayed strong. Aaron knelt beside her, and together they placed the flowers in the soil. Months passed. Aaron traveled to other planets, helping rescue missions and training new teams. But he always returned to Hope Station. Always returned to Lyra. He became known across the galaxy not just as a soldier, but as a protector of lost children. Some called him Father of the Forgotten. But to Lyra he was just Dad. One day, as they stood by the window of the station, watching Earth turn slowly below them, Lyra said something soft. You didn't have to stay, you know. Aaron looked at her. She had grown taller, braver. Her eyes still held that same light. No, he said, but I chose to. She leaned her head on his shoulder. Thank you. Aaron smiled and placed his arm around her. No, thank you for giving me a reason. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Lyra looked up. What now? She asked. Aaron looked into the stars. Now we help others, as many as we can. She smiled. Together, he nodded, always. And so, a soldier who once fell from the sky became a father. A child once left behind became a light for others. And their story, one of pain, courage, and love, echoed across the stars, touching hearts far beyond the galaxy. Their journey had begun with fear, but it continued with hope, and it would never end.